How do everyone? Welcome back to the Potty Garden Show. Joined again with my fantastic, illustrious gardening friends there. JB.
Illustrious.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Is that the first time that name's been
Every day. Every day I wake up, look myself in the mirror and say it's going to be another illustrious day.
Do you look in the mirror like that? Oh. Let's kill it today. Let's get there. Let's go. Let's save nature. Are you good? Anyways, are you well?
Okay. I'm okay. I'm getting there, Tony. I'm getting there.
All right.
I'm getting there.
Audrey.
Yes, sir.
Audrey, how are you doing? Good.
Doing
That
very
sun
good.
shining and must be getting a bit of a pain now, Audrey. It's always sunny in Detroit.
Well, it is now. We're definitely in a warm streak at the moment.
You must be now, Audrey, because we talk about this every time we come on first thing. You must be now out of it. You're safe to take them potatoes out. You're safe.
Oh,
surely
absolutely.
Yeah.
Out of it.
Very good.
And if we do get one, it's going to be a blip. So it won't be like for 2 days. It'll be a little dip down.
Would it be, Audrey, catastrophic for you or not? If there was a no, you haven't got anything that's kind of real tender?
No, because I don't put my tomatoes and peppers out till end of May. I make
Who would dare to put them out so early?
I mean, surely to God, there's no one would even dream about putting them out yet. You know what I mean? Well,
never.
Well, I wouldn't up here. But you guys, you like to roll the dice.
Amateurs, Audrey, amateurs. If they do that kind of thing, it's unprofessional. Anyway, Jess, are you good? Hello.
I'm good.
Good.
If I put my peppers outside, I'd lose them. They're so small. So
the wind would just blow them away.
Yeah, exactly. They'd just be gone like that.
Jess, we'll start with you then. What are you doing? Anything to like safeguard frosts? Are you taking anything up? Would you be planting anything?
I've got nothing.
I don't mean tenders. No,
I've got
still
nothing that needs protecting. I've been earthing the potatoes up, like if it's getting sort of to 3 degrees or something, but they're fine. They're growing away really happily, and nothing else is out yet. Like nothing that's going to have any problems.
Right.
So nothing. There's lots of stuff I want to get out, but not yet.
Is your potatoes early potatoes or just a mixture? Early ones, right?
They're all first earlies and second earlies. I haven't got any main crop in yet.
Right. When you're putting them in then?
Well, they're so covered in those mealy bugs that I'm sort of starting to think that I might not be doing main crop potatoes this year.
Ah, right.
So,
it's a shame, mind, isn't it? Like slightest things, and you kind of
yeah. But I kept compensating by like buying more first earlies and second earlies. So now I've got about 3 times the amount of potatoes I was planning to grow anyway. So do I really need main crop? Those like infested little kind of worms I've got downstairs? Don't think I do.
But there's going to become a point though where you think, I'm sick of new potatoes. Do you know what I mean? Every day, every meal's a pan of new potatoes are on the boil there. The first couple will be lovely to read. Oh, this is what gardening's all about. Melted butter, black pepper on the potatoes. And then 6 months in, melted butter, black pepper on the potato. Yes. JB, are you doing any? Well, I hope to God you're doing something to protect frost, because didn't you take some vital chilies up to the?
So the trial peppers.
I tell you what, JB, straight away I can see the light is off in the back.
I know,
everybody,
right?
Yeah, there's no light.
They're not in the garden. Man. They're in the allotment. They are up there. I took them up yesterday. Our forecast is like 11 degrees coldest nights now. It's finally switched. It was lingering the cold, but yes, we're now down to 10-degree lows, 10, 11 degrees. So Jesse's looking very concerned.
Well, if that's the fact, that's pretty good.
Yeah, like, I mean the forecasts, it might go down a little bit lower, kind of 7 or 8, but they should be. I can't
4 or 5 maybe.
Yeah, no, don't say that. No.
Mine, I've looked on mine, JB, and it's like 10, 11 up here in the northeast. I'm still not gonna, you know what I mean? I've been caught so many times. Are they just in your polytunnel?
They're in the greenhouse,
ready to whiz back the moment there's other kind of the set. Bloody hell!
I mean, I haven't potted them up. I haven't potted them up. They're still in 1 litres tubs, but then they're getting potted up very soon because they are in dire need. And once they're potted up, I could still rescue them. Like if we were forecast a freak, you know, like proper sub-zero, I probably would actually just have to do 3 or 4 car trips, like ferrying them, you know, back seats full, the boots full. I got them strapped up in the passenger seat. Like it would be worth it because I'd be pretty devastated. But no, they should be. Most of the time, I can get them out kind of mid-April. So this has been quite a long, you know, having them just back for that extra 2 weeks, well, because they've been so big this year as well, has been quite, you know, I'm getting itchy to get them out. And now the forecast finally their forecast lifted, and I thought, right, it's time. The thing I'm most concerned about with them is actually sun scald, because I've not hardened them off enough really this year. This year they've been really sensitive, so I've been putting them out in the back garden for a little bit, and they've been getting scalded even though we've had barely any sun. So I think they're probably going to get hit pretty hard with sunburn, but they'll bounce back. They'll still have a nice healthy root system, so they might lose quite a few leaves, but they'll start bouncing back really quick.
Can't you still throw a little shade cloth over them?
I have done that as well for some.
Sometimes they need a little babying when they go out at first.
For the really delicate ones, they've got a bit of shading. For the bigger ones, which you know,
sink or swim,
die, you die. Like, get out there. You know, you'll be fine.
So Jess, would your chilies aren't going up there? Well, what about your tomatoes? Is that a different story? Are we looking good for tomatoes?
Tomatoes are fine, but what did I sow them about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? I really held off on tomatoes this year because they don't have a polytunnel to go into yet. Like, I don't want to suddenly find myself with all these tomatoes that are desperate to get out of the house, and not have them, like, not have anywhere to put them. So, I mean, you can sow tomatoes so late, they'll still sort of be all right. But yeah, they're only about this sort of size at the moment. So I've got probably 3 weeks before they have to go into the polytunnel. So
they sound bigger than mine, and I sowed mine in the middle of March. So I think you've done the right thing. Mine is struggling.
You sowed yours in the polytunnel, didn't you?
Yeah.
They haven't had like covered heat or anything. They've just the tough knocks. You know,
they've been roughing it.
Tough love.
Yeah, they've been.
That's almost like winter sowing them.
But yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much. They are a very deep shade of purple.
Yeah, they're chilly.
They're not having a great time. But I'm gonna pot them up, and hopefully, warmer nights will sort them out a bit.
Yeah, our low tonight is 16 Celsius.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
That's nice.
I don't think our high is 16 today here.
Our high is 28.
Yesterday it was 9 as our highest temperature. Like,
but that's kind of a nice temperature, isn't it?
No, still cool. We'll get the.
No, I mean just
had our
being
heat on
outside.
Yesterday.
See, I'd rather have weather that's 9 or 10 than 28.
Well, yeah, if it was a decision between 28 and 9, I'd probably go 9, but I would rather it to be maybe about 16, 17, you know, rather than 9.
Yeah.
I was standing in the shed because it's that time of year that it should be warmer, so the sun's got loads of heat. So like the moment that the sun comes out, it's like, bloody hell, it's absolutely boiling. Yeah. Off comes the hat, off comes the jacket, and the weather's so like piecemeal, and the wind is coming over so fast that like 30 seconds later you're shivering again because the clouds have come over the sun. So it's like
it's very tricky.
Consistency would be nice.
Do you just have your heating on still at night time? Any heating in the house I'm talking about?
I guess so. I've got no idea.
You don't know. It's just
on
it heats up on, hasn't got it. No, the fairies just switch it on.
I mean, there's just like a little plastic thing on the wall which does its own thing. I've got no idea.
Oh, that's hilarious.
JB, what about you? There'll be no heating on that house?
Yeah, no, we had it on this morning. It's still freezing. So our high, it's 13 degrees today outside, and then the low tonight is 10 degrees. So it's like consistent temperature, at least. You know, you're just not going to get warm. But we've had to put the heating back on. It's like, because we're just working at home in the office, like typing away at our laptops. Yeah. It's not very active, you know. So you do. You do
if you're just kind of sitting in one room, just do it exactly what you're doing, Jay, but you're going to feel the cold because you're not moving around or anything, you know what I mean? So, Audrey, there'll be no heating on now then, the summer.
No heating on now.
Man, it's so quick, isn't it, changing?
It is. It's like, boom. Actually, I ran the air conditioner for a little while yesterday because it was so hot.
Wow.
Honestly, there was no breeze, so opening the windows was useless. And it was cooking in here. So just for a little bit, just take the edge off the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it snowing last week? I
think it was 2 weeks ago. It was snowing. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's just like
the switch goes.
Slip switching. I can't even say it. What's it?
Flip the switch.
Flipping the switch. That's a slip switching. It's not coming out right today. Yeah. No, I was just looking at the weather forecast, and it's good things are coming. It's going to be like 20 degrees at the end of the week. So yeah, it's not looking too bad.
Yeah, no, we should be going down again a little bit next week, but still warm. Just not quite high 70s, high 80s.
What, Audrey, would you be thinking about taking outside now? What would you recommend for people listening?
Yeah, I think this week the potatoes will go in. I think I'll get carrots sown because my lettuce bed is coming up beautifully. So get some carrots in, get beets in. I'm trying to think what else. Beans and stuff, I'm going to wait maybe till mid-May and get those in.
They are a bit of a fickle thing, aren't they? Beans, they don't like getting that, themselves cooled.
And I have a lot of sweet potato slips inside, and I won't take those out till maybe end of May because they love heat.
I thought JB's looking. He's got
they arrived
something.
Today. They're like, I forgot about them. I was on a work call when they arrived, but only 5 in here. I'm not flipping around because my address is on here. But Erato Deep Orange.
Where'd you get them from then, JB? What did you?
They were from DT Brown. I got them at the same time as I got my asparagus crowns a little while back. And a shout out to DT Brown, actually. They didn't like give me anything, but those asparagus crowns that arrived, everyone in the comments on my asparagus video is like, they're the best I've ever seen, and they were huge. The roots were like this.
The roots were crazy on those crowns.
So yeah,
it's
pretty impressed.
So tell us, JB, what you intend to do with those? Because I've only had one bash at sweet potatoes, and my mum didn't help. You know what I mean? Pulled them all up.
Yeah, I forgot.
You know what I mean? So I thought they were like reeds running along the ground. So what are you growing them in your polytunnel?
Yes, that is the idea. So I want to do them in the ground in the polytunnel, as a kind of ground cover at the same time as the tomatoes. It's a bit of an experiment. They tend to trail out like crazy and wild. Quite a few people have recommended like growing them like on a trellis, growing them vertically. So I'm not 100% sure. I just know there's going to be some in the ground. There's probably going to be some sprawling. I think it's a nice idea having the vegetation sprawling to stop the ground from like drying out. A bit of shade for the actual ground and the soil to lock in a bit of moisture, because I imagine it's going to be the first season growing in that tunnel, but I imagine it's going to get very hot because the only ventilation is the doors. It's 10 by 20, so people tend to say that's about the biggest you can get, I think, without any side ventilation. So I think having that bit of shade on the ground might be quite a good idea. I'm a little bit worried about them competing with the tomatoes. I'm not too sure. So I think it makes sense not to have them, everywhere that the tomatoes are.
I was going to say, you've got a big polytunnel there. You've only got 5 plants. They're not going to...
Yeah, I think they get
5 plants take up a lot of room.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll take up a lot of space.
Right. These weren't that big man.
You just need to watch when they're crawling over the ground. They will root at every leaf.
Right.
Wherever there's a node, they will shoot roots down.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to maybe is just to keep them trimmed around the tomatoes.
Okay.
So they're not competing for roots.
So, Audrey, would the potato be on every node as well? Like every root going down? Would there be a potato?
If it's in dirt, yes.
Right.
I'm growing mine over the edge of a raised bed, like a 32-inch bed. So they're just going to be a carpet of leaves going down the side.
Mm.
And they won't root because there's nothing for them to root into. So I can kind of control them a little bit.
Yeah, nice.
Have we heard any success from like UK growers sweet potatoes? I mean, in the comments,
the first year I grew them, Tony, they were really successful. I just grew them in pots in the greenhouse, big tubs.
Yeah,
it was absolutely fantastic. But I bought the slips, a bit like JB has, and they were absolutely brilliant. But yeah, they did. So they overflowed. It was like an enormous mushroom cloud of sweet potatoes. And where they touched because I had bark chip in the greenhouse at that time, where they overflowed, when I tried to remove them, they just pulled all of the weed proof matting up with them because they'd got they didn't produce any potatoes in the in the overflow. But yeah, that year they were really, really successful. But then I tried to make my own slips the following year, and it was not a great success. It did something, but nothing like the...
What size were your potatoes then, Jess?
That first year, they were like proper...
Right.
They looked like sweet potatoes, and they tasted fantastic. But I know you've got to be quite careful with the varieties that you grow in the UK. Whereas I had just bought a sweet potato in a shop and made slips from it, which obviously wasn't the best suited to this climate. Whereas the first lot I had was. But yeah, they were big. They were like proper, genuine sweet potatoes.
Because it's funny, I was going to say, I wonder why, where JB got his from. I wonder why they're selling them if it's such a bit of a struggle. But it sounds like actually, if you've got the right, inside a polytunnel, you get the extra heat anyways. It becomes a dry, arid place. So
I know the year. So it was the year. This is what inspired me to grow them. Would have been 2019, the summer of 2019. I think that's the one we had the really hot late summer, and my neighbour 2 plots over just grew them outside in the ground and just had so many of them. It was incredible. But she grew all her tomatoes outside that year as well, and peppers and everything, and aubergines like you couldn't believe. But then it's never worked again because we just haven't had the summer. But that particular summer it worked brilliantly.
Wow,
nice. I'm really excited. I hope they come good.
When you're going to put them? When you're going to put them in or plant them in, JB?
Well, I don't know. When should I? It's 10 degrees lows now, but I'm not sure. Although in the polytunnel, the soil should have warmed up quite a lot. I'm not really sure. Open to suggestions. Do you think it's too soon?
Are they still on sale? I think I fancy a bash.
They are on sale. I'm not sure if I have it open.
I'd be curious to see what they look like.
Yeah,
you want to open your package?
It's one of those. It's quite there's a lot going on here. Give me talk amongst yourselves.
I've just made today a sweet potato bean chili. It's like a Hello Fresh meal, and I made that today as well. So that's what we're having, sweet potatoes for tea.
Nice.
So we're big sweet potato eaters. You know what I mean? They're always in the vegetable.
I'm trying to remember what was the variety that you got, JB?
This is Arato Orange, and first thing I will say, it has come with some fungus gnats, which have neatly just flown everywhere as I took the thing off. They're quite dinky. They're tiny little plugs.
Oh, they're all right.
Interesting. They're plugs. Okay.
Yeah.
They're cute.
Oh.
Yeah. So what did you think they would be, Audrey?
I thought they'd be bare root. Sweet potatoes.
Got a little plug. It's quite.
That's
what
mine are at the moment. They're now rooting in a jar of water, So they'll be ready to go in a couple of weeks.
They need some water.
Audrey, are yours just potatoes that you've used yourself or kept yourself?
We love a certain kind called purple or Murasaki purple, and they're almost a white center, and they taste a little bit nutty. They're very nice. So I get those organically, and I just start my own slips.
Right.
I've just looked up the variety that I grew that first year was called Beauregard.
That's like a classic over here.
Yeah, it's like it was bright orange. It did everything you want a sweet potato to do. It looked exactly like it was supposed to. It was satisfying.
Yep, that's a classic.
Are you growing them then, Jess, this year? Have you got some slips due?
When JB said he had ordered his, I was like, yes, that's what I'm going to do. And then I never did it. So, but if they're still on sale, I might order some more actually.
See, we can have the pleasure of ordering now, Jess, before this show goes out. So when we stop recording, we've got an hour to get before they sell out.
Yeah, that's true. Like, better get on it.
Yeah. It says dispatches within 5 to 7 days. So
all right. So
and there's still, there's way plenty of time to plant them.
Are there? See, Audrey, it's a little bit difficult because you're a totally different climate, I guess. But are there a quick growing vegetable, and do you wait till like potatoes they die off, or do you?
Great question.
Do you just put your hand in the? Jamie hasn't got it. You know what I mean?
I'm going to be taking notes.
Well, I'm a big believer in when they say days to maturity. I like diary that. And
right.
So that's when I start going out and maybe pulling a few up and see what they look like. And if they're not as big as I'd like, I give them a little more time. If the vines still look good, I let them go. But once it starts to cool off, it's not like the sweet potatoes get sweeter. So you don't really want to leave them until frost time. Like, get them out because they need to cure a little bit in warm weather.
Oh, so do you dig them up and leave them on the soil? In
a fake warm weather, because ours is never as warm as it needs to. So we just do our best and use them. Excuse me.
Interesting.
So
right.
Yeah, that's why down south here is so much more appropriate for sweet potatoes, because it is warm when they take them out, so they can cure them in the heat.
Yeah.
And how long would you leave them on a outside curing?
Probably 2 weeks. And
really?
It's better if it's humid too, humid and hot, which is the most horrible kind of heat there is, but that's what they like. Right. So we just bring them in and put them in a warm spot in the house and let them go. This is all we got.
I'll try. I didn't know.
Yeah. So what would happen then, Audrey, if you were a bit like me and a bit impatient and didn't want to cure them for 2 weeks? What would
It's a storage issue. They won't. Right. Yeah, it's just they won't last as long.
Right.
Just in a bin. So you've got to probably do something with them. Even just freeze them.
So I'm like a little child here asking questions. Like, is it the moon? How far? How many potatoes would you get from what would JB get from one slip? Just one? Or do you get like a whole?
Oh, no. He'll get, and it really depends on how happy the plant is. You can get easily a dozen potatoes from one slip.
Yeah.
And they would be all right putting in like a 30-litre pot, something like that?
I've never grown them in a pot. I've seen them grown in pots. So, yeah, I think they probably would.
How big was your one, Jessie?
That's what this is the thing I was just about to say. Oh, my pot was this big, but I have got no idea on literage. But I think it was considerably bigger than 30 litres. It's like a big potato pot, with the handles on either side.
Right.
And that was one slip that I put in there because I only had the one that first time. And it really did. I mean, when I tipped it out, it was like full.
Was it?
Second time, I grew it in the same pot. And you could see that it possibly could have done well because there was, when they haven't quite formed and they're kind of like, rather than with a potato, when they're not formed, you get pea potatoes. With these, you get kind of like wiggly worms.
Yep.
Right.
Like big gnarly things. And there was loads of really skinny gnarlies in there, but nothing had actually kind of swollen up to be a proper potato. But yeah, it was packed. But I don't know how big do you think those big like potato
that could be
pots
whether
are?
we're doing like that could be like a 50-litre one.
I'd
Do you mean
say-
I've got like one pot that size, which, you know what I mean, if I get some
I'm just trying to
straight
think. So
after the
if
show.
the bag of manure we get is 80 litres, I would say it's probably 50 litres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
so.
anything bigger than a 50-litre, then it's almost like a 2-person lift. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that would be a fair. I mean, even like a 50-litre, it's a fair size to be lifted on your own. And you said, Jess, that was in your polytunnel the whole time.
It was in the greenhouse.
Greenhouse.
Yeah, in the greenhouse, and really quite neglected. Like it wasn't well looked after because
that's what I like to hear.
Yes, I was not like I wasn't optimistic about it. It was a bit of a gamble. So it was good. But would you?
And what about watering? How often? Just like potatoes, just keep them moist, or?
I'm not very. I mean, I've got to say, probably my least
Knowledgeable
talent is in the watering in the watering department. I'm really mean with water.
Sandy soil too.
And sandy soil.
I think they're a little more forgiving than regular potatoes.
But in the compost, in the polytunnel, there lots of misting, and just dump a bit of water on ever so often.
Yeah.
Oh, JB, I think you'll be itching to get them in.
Yeah, well, it sounds perfect for me. I've got like one
plant and leave.
Yeah, I've got one massive pot as well. It's like one of those. It's plastic, but it's like that terracotta color. But I pulled it out of the skip a little while ago. Someone didn't want it, but it's huge. It must be a good kind of 50 litres, I reckon. Might try it in that. Very ugly pot. But...
JB, you could do, because you've kept your polytunnel soil, so you could do what we used to do with the potatoes. You like bury it a little bit.
Oh, and in a pot.
Just maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But then maybe the roots are going to start going.
Yeah,
crazy.
And they'll be in the ground there anyway. But I could do one in the greenhouse. I've got a little spot,
and
I could kind of bamboo it up a little bit and then let it come back down. So maybe it's got a little bit more.
And you can trim the leaves if they get too. Again, it's I find it a very forgiving plant. So if mine go way too long, like I don't want it to be, going over into the other bed, I'm just going to keep them trimmed to the bottom of the height of the bed.
Cool.
So
exciting.
Might get myself a little.
Down, order sweet potatoes.
Yes, I think we're going to, Jess. Yes, we're good. This could be the new chili talk. Sweet potatoes every week now.
And the leaves
are beautiful plants, though.
They are.
Really
I'm growing them just because the leaves are gorgeous,
and the flowers are gorgeous as well. They're really lovely.
Yeah, they are. But then,
so Audrey, when would you put yours in with your seasons?
I'm gonna right about when I would put my peppers in. I would put those in.
Right.
So. Mid to late May, depending on how hot a May we have.
And
if this keeps going... Go ahead.
Sorry, Audrey, I was just going to say, how many slips would you consider putting in for like a good crop?
I have about 40 slips right now. I will not put in that many. I was hedging my bets, and wow, I got great slips made this year. So I will probably put in
them off. Like gold dust.
Put them in a little card and send them over again. Do you know what I
mean? Yeah, no living things in this birthday card. I will probably put in 7, I think, along that.
Okay.
Because that bed is 24 feet long. So I'll kind of space them out and see how many it takes. But that's the only place I'm going to put them.
Right.
And will you be growing anything through them, or will it just be sweet potatoes? Like JB's planning to put them under his.
Oh yeah, tomatoes. I'm going to train them so they just go off the edge.
Oh okay.
So I'll plant the raised bed just like because right now it's full of garlic, and I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to keep.
So would there be other things in that bed when you're growing the sweet potato? Or will the sweet potato roots take up everything?
No, I'll make sure there's things that don't need deep roots right by there, and because the sweet potatoes can go kind of deep. So yeah, I plan to plant lots of things by it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Jess, could we grow them outside or not?
I've got no idea. It depends on the year. I mean, like I say, the girl, a couple of up from me, had that 1 year that was absolutely outstanding. But, you know, that was the year when we had huge aubergine success outside because it was such a beautiful summer. And although I've had outdoor aubergines since, it's not been anything like it was that year. So I think it really depends. Yes, it's totally possible. Like if we get a great summer, I think you can grow them outside, no problem. But we've had a couple of real kind of stinkers, particularly like the bit in the middle where you expect it to be the hottest and driest. It's just been sort of damp and cool, hasn't it? So I suppose it depends.
Right. Well, I might try. So it's always nice when, you know what I mean? Because there's so much to you kind of look at and think, oh, right, I'll have a little go at that. I forgot about them. Do you know what I mean? It's like Chinese cabbage I haven't bothered with, but then we'll start talking about it. Like, oh, right, I'll try and knock that one. You know what I mean? Try and get that one off.
That's one of the problems of being on this show.
Yeah.
Is that there's always more seeds.
Because I'm sure, Audrey, didn't you say, I am not buying another chili in this? This is no way another chili.
Well, yeah, you were determined about
a ridiculous amount of chilies and a ridiculous amount of tomatoes. So, yes.
How is your tomatoes going, Audrey? Are they?
They're going great. They're still quite small, but they have 3 weeks. I mean, tomatoes can do a lot in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
My peppers do have true leaves. My chilies. Sorry, I know you guys call them different names.
Yeah.
My chilies are quite tiny, but they have true leaves on them now. So
nice.
I'm hedging my bets.
What I wanted to ask you, have your snapdragons done anything yet?
I threw them out.
I know, but you re-sowed them. Did you?
I re-sowed them with winter sowing. They were only in there for like 2 weeks. They are doing great. We've had 100% germination in our winter sowing.
Right.
I've never had that. Never had that before. So very excited. And I'm also going to direct sow some.
Right.
Which that sounds like a good thing for this week because it's nice and warm. Yeah.
Soil preparation and which is actually my next topic, but you could link it to the sweet potatoes as well. Do you know what I mean? What is there a certain mix I would need to or JB and Jess need to think about when sweet potatoes, or can you just use spent compost or homemade compost or?
Well, they're not really like carrots where you can almost use, dirt off the street and carrots will grow.
That's a great analogy, that.
Well, don't they just like everything? They like it. Yeah, nothing is fine. I would, particularly since it's a root, I would still put in a bit of potassium. And you do want the leaf growth because that's what sends out so I would put maybe some. Well, you use bloodfish and bone, right? That'd probably be a great thing for those. Yeah.
There you go. Sounds easy, JB.
Yeah, well, I think the soil in the tunnel is looking pretty good. A lot of the stuff that has grown in there is looking really healthy. I did a few got like some absolutely fat radish. I've never seen radish like it. I did some the other day. It's like the size of my hand. It's huge.
Right.
And I think the soil in there is looking pretty good. I've sowed some lettuce and the leeks and the cabbages and everything's growing quite nicely. So I think that's one of because I had a lot of trouble with the soil generally. I think it was the soil anyway on the second plot when I took that over. And one of the reasons I put the tunnel where it was is because it was some of the nicest soil.
Have you fed that soil as well then, JB, have you?
Not actually this season, no. So when I put the cabbages and the leeks in, it was pretty much just the soil. It did have some just well rotted manure last season, but generally it's not had much. No. So I need to do a bit more prep before I put the tomatoes out. I've just got some little harvests in there at the moment. I started tidying up yesterday as well to get it kind of ready for the tomatoes and a lot of things going in the ground, and I'll give that a really good mulch.
I can't remember, Jimmy. Are you putting tomatoes straight in the ground or in
That's
pots?
the plan.
Yep. All right.
Yeah. So one side of the tunnel will be growing in the ground, and the other side will be growing in pots.
Right. So, and that'll be like quad grows and the other one. I can't remember the name.
Autopots.
Autopots. Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
Very excited. I cannot wait. The idea of filling that tunnel up is...
Well, you just got those autopot dividers, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah,
so,
that looked pretty cool. Like,
tell us, JB, what's this? What are dividers and what?
So it's basically the autopot. The normal pot that you get is about 12 liters. It's quite a big one. It's a fat one. And they sell a divider, which is basically just 2 bits of plastic that kind of interlock like that, and you can drop them into the pot, and then you can put 3 plants in each of the pots. And that works out.
3 tomato plants?
Yeah, or chili. I'm going to put my chilies in.
Right.
I'm going to get 4 chilies into one self-watering pot, and then the divider just means that you can just pull them out by the stem, and then pot them on as you would. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited for the simplicity.
What do you mean pot them on?
So so instead of leaving them in 3-liter pots, so you got one. You got a 12-liter pot.
Yeah.
That turns into 4 3-liter.
Yeah.
Segments. When they've been in there for about 6 weeks.
Ah, right. They're not staying in there full time.
No. Yeah, I mean, you could leave them in there full time, but they'd they'd be a much smaller plant, and they'd be really arguing for light.
Well, yeah, that's what I was but I was thinking, that may be a thing where basically they're getting all the food from the roots, so maybe they don't need their but
yeah,
I forgot about light. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of fertigation. So they will get quite a lot of feed through the water, but you don't start feeding them until, they've been in that pot and their roots have filled out for quite a long time. Right. So I just desperately need to get those moved on. And I've been wondering about whether to go from 1 liter straight into 10, or whether to put them into 2.5 first. I've got lots of 2.5 pots. Do I go into 5 and then 10, or all that kind of thing? But I think those 3-liter dividers, and seeing how well they grew in autopots last year, I think that'll be a really good way, because I've got 6 autopots now. I had 4 last year, so I can get a lot of plants started in those autopots with the dividers. I'm hoping they won't argue too much. They might do a little bit for the light, but we'll see. It'll be an interesting experiment, I'm sure.
Mine are in 2 liter, and I'll not do a 5 liter before they go in that. I think the quads are 12 liter as well.
I think they're 8 to 10, something like that.
Right.
8 to 10. I think they're a 10.
Certainly not going to do another one. Do you know what I mean? After I've never done that, to be honest, JB. I've always kind of put down, them plant pots with holes in. So I think I'll just kind of go straight from a 2 liter to a whatever the quads
fine, yeah.
are.
The general rule of thumb is to not go more than 5 times the current pot size. That's 4 or 5 times. So if you're in 1 liter, you don't really want to go into more than a 4 or a 5.
I thought you were saying you'd keep them in there. In these. I was thinking, that's.
Well, it's tempting to do that now. I kind of want to see what they look like.
Yeah, to be honest, you know what I mean. That could be the plant pot that gives the massive cost, especially an auto pot, because the last year is what you got.
They were
crop
incredible.
Off that was just.
But it might work for a different crop, even. Maybe
I was
not.
just thinking, if you're on the pruning with tomatoes, you'd be able to grow 4 tomatoes in there easily.
I guess
narrow.
so. That's an interesting thought. I wasn't planning on doing any tomatoes in the auto pots, but I could. There's no reason not to.
How many have you got? Quad grows as well, JB? Have you?
Yeah, I've got on the other side. I'm going to have the auto pots, the quad grows, and the chili grow all going at once. So it'll be a nice comparison.
Actually, I forgot I've got chili grows as well, because what are they? 5 liter pots.
They are 6.5 liter pots, but the reservoir is very small.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how it goes.
Exciting to mind it is, isn't it? It's like kids with new toys. Do you know what I mean? Like these bloody pod growers and everything in autopot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
Just
really
put them
exciting.
in a plant pot, plant them in the ground. What's all this? But I've seen, JB, honestly, I've seen your results last year next to traditional methods, and bloody hell, do you know what I mean? It was.
Well, I want to do some chilies in the ground as well for the first time, because I have never in my entire life grown a chili pepper in the ground.
Wow.
I've just never really tried. Pots have always been the convenient one for me.
Chili Chump ever do it in the ground?
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember, back in his old setup, it was mostly greenhouse, but I think he did have a raised bed outside, and at his new place he does do a few outside as a comparison, but they're, night and day. The ones in the greenhouse and in the pots is so much better.
Did you know Audrey, growing locally, and is sending quad grows to America now as well?
Is he?
You can do the. Apparently, I think they've changed the cardboard packaging, so it's like bull metal grey, like bull metal kind of strong. So
interesting.
Well, I'll have to
next year, Audrey, next year we could all be quaddy.
I did see your eyes sparkled when we talked about these dividers for these autopots. Because I could see you already going, oh my God, where do I get these? I got to get some.
Where do I get a middle of the night, bye. You know what I mean? Just kind of, haven't I got bloody 50 lids for the quad grow for my quad grows? Whether I'm going to even bloody use them.
Leaned into those this year.
Oh my God!
Yes,
you know that safety thing they've got on like the National Lottery where you can't buy a ticket after 11 o'clock. You need that across like Amazon and everything across the whole internet.
Yeah, I'm terrible. I've got no excuse. What about soil prep then, Jess? For you say your tunnel's not ready now. Will you be prepping that soil in there once it's finished? Will you be
I'm going back to the raised bed. I took the raised bed apart day before yesterday, ready to put the mesh down and then put it all back together again. But yeah, I've got to make a decision on what I'm going to fill that raised bed with, because I've got some of my own compost, which I will put in, but I don't have anywhere near enough to fill. Like that's a double height.
It's so much, isn't it? When you've got one of those to fill, it's just you just stare at it going, where am I going to get that from?
It's a whole pallet of compost, basically, and that's not cheap. And then there's so many decisions to make about compost, because it's like if you spend that much money on the compost and it turns out to be pants, it's like, oh. And also because it's going to be a raised bed that's kind of permanent. It's not like filling pots for pansies or something. It's like going to sit there. I want to get at least some kind of like soil-based compost in there as well, not just have it all like the light and fluffy potting stuff. So that's my next big spend. Luckily, I've already bought the plastic. Like the day that I ripped all the plastic off the polytunnel, I bought the new stuff, because I was like, if I don't do it, I'm just going to have like a grapevine growing up it and never recover it. So I've got that bit. That expense went into the last year's tax return, so now I can go into this one. But yeah, I don't know what to fill it with. It's just so difficult. And then everything that we bring up, obviously, we have to wheelbarrow from like 5 minutes either direction. One's probably 5 minutes directly uphill, and one's probably like 6 minutes on the flat. So you got to wheel it from wherever. So don't know. You know
that wasn't the talk that you know that I forget how to even pronounce it, where they put wood.
Say it. Yeah.
Is that been a like dismissed now? It's like
horticultural.
Yes. Has that been like? Because I've seen a couple of videos where people were saying this. It's a bit of a myth. It doesn't work. It's no good, or you know what I mean. So,
well,
I was just going to say,
like the bottom layer, not quite as extreme as horticulture, but like I've got a lot of the things which are like the bark chips that I took out of the greenhouse that have been kind of rotting down for the last 15 years. I just kept topping it up. So I've got about 5 bags of them. And when we do the compost, when it comes out, it gets sieved. not really super fine, but like all the big stuff gets sieved out. So all of that crap is going to go in the base, which should take up a bit of space.
What's the actual dimensions of it then, Jess, that bed?
Well, it's 3 meters long, or just under 3 meters long, like 2 meters 90 long by 1 meter 90 wide.
Right.
And then the path that I've got cut out of it actually isn't very big. It's only about 40 centimeters wide, so it's a huge space, and it's a double decking board. So it's about 35 deep. So it's just a lot of compost.
Oh, I know. It is.
Do you have the option of doing it in stages, or is the bed currently built? Like, can you just do one decking board and fill that up, and then in a year or two
not
do the
really
extra decking
I mean
board?
I haven't even taken out, so I don't know if you remember what it looks like in there. It's like it's just a big rectangle with a T cut out of it to be able to reach in. And to do the floor, I haven't taken the back board out, I've just taken the centered T out.
I see.
So
gotcha.
Really, I mean, I could have it really low, but to be fair, like this 3 years it is that I've had it, we kept topping up the compost, and it was still like a good this far from the top.
Yeah,
it's just this.
Where does it go?
It just goes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely insane. You need to get those, like the big meter cube bags or the ton bags, but there's nowhere you can't get it delivered. Like to the allotment.
I'm a little bit like that as well, Jess. There's nowhere to kind of quickly, easily get it to you. You know what I mean?
No. Can you drive to your allotment? No. Can you drive close to it?
You can drive, but I don't think people who are going to deliver would want to go up that bank side. Do you know, there's like a little hill with a little nasty turn and I can get up, and I would say, of course you can get up. You know what I mean? And I've actually seen, like, we get the tree surgeons coming and dumping, when I've asked them, dump and they're carrying a trailer. But you just know that's like a delivery. Morby job's worth love to get up that hill there, anywhere. I'll dump it to you. You know what I mean? We've even had tiles delivered to the house where they've just dropped them on the main road. Do you know what I mean? And we'll kind of get them in the yard. I've had to physically handball them myself into the yard. So, because I've often wondered, talking about compost, there's a company called Keith Singleton's soil conditioner, which I just, I love it as well. And I've often thought, I'll treat myself to a pallet full. But then it's on the main road. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't even come up the back lane, right? It's there, lad, for you to get it sorted. You know what I mean? So it's always been...
Yeah. I mean, the closest place that we can get it delivered is into the cemetery. Which is like one side, two sides of our allotment is a really large cemetery, and it's all very well and good. You obviously have to book it in to check there's no funerals happening, because it's up the main procession path where they're going to.
Excuse me, love.
Yeah,
excuse
I know.
me.
It's happened so many times that I'm there unloading stuff, and there's a procession going past, and I'm like,
oh no.
But yeah, if you're getting something huge delivered, like when we used to get the bags of the manure delivered, it's I'd get them 50 at a time, and then you've got to make sure that everybody's there on time on the day to ferry the things out. Otherwise,
it's the
such
thought
a getting deliveries to allotments is enough to take a year off your life, honestly.
But just what Jess said, imagine if it rock up and there's a funeral going on. Do you know what I mean? Did you know the deceased? You know what I mean? Man. So what would you put in, Jess? Let's just say it's full. I've made a magic wands there. It's full for you, right? So it's full now. What will you put in there?
Plants wise.
Not decorations.
Well, no, I thought you meant if I could have any compost instantly in my.
Well, go on then. What?
Well, that's the bit that I haven't made a decision on yet.
You're scared now to put your favourite one in, aren't you? A little bit shy now. Not too keen on.
That's not the kind of compost that that you would put in there, really. It's got to be more soil based, and it's not really like a potting compost situation. So
got out of that one.
But the main thing that's going in there, Tony, is going to be the tomatoes and the aubergines this year.
Right.
Too, because the aubergines really appreciate it being so much more humid than in the greenhouse, because the greenhouse is a really dry heat. Doesn't matter how many times you spray hose it. It's just a really dry heat, whereas the polytunnel was like proper humid. And anything that gets attacked by the spider mite, like the aubergines, was a nightmare last year. And cucumbers, they're all going into the polytunnel to try and...
So I guess the chilies, when they get themselves sorted, they'll go in the greenhouse.
Yes. They're going in the greenhouse this year. Peppers and chilies and melons in the greenhouse, and aubergines, tomatoes, cucumbers, polytunnel.
Is that similar for you?
Be some crossover, because I'll have them in the wrong pot or something, but that's going to be the general gist.
God, there's always I thought I'd planted 4 of them. I thought I'd, you know what I mean? There's always that at the very end stages. Oh, I've got no, and I'm sure last time I was a bit shy on Brad's Atomic when it all came down to it. You know what I mean? I thought I sowed more than that. What about your layout then, JB? Because it's getting like a market garden centre, your bloody place. Greenhouses and polytunnels.
We'll see. We'll see how the harvests look. But yeah, I'm not 100% certain on the layout just yet, to be honest. I'm just going to play it by ear. Like I say, I know what's happening in the polytunnel. I've got a bit of space there in the ground for some cucumbers as well. Probably like a couple of aubergines as well. It's going to be a bit of an experimental year for me in the polytunnel.
Have you sown aubergines then, JB?
Yeah, I got a few. They've just got their first tree leaves. They're nothing to write home about, but they're alive. They're kicking. I haven't potted them on yet, but yeah, in the small greenhouse, I've got a bit of ground there, and then a bit of space for probably a quad grow, where I'll probably stick some tomatoes, a few extra tomatoes. There's going to be a lot of tomatoes this year. In the greenhouse now with the staging, once again, there's room for 1 quad grow, and that's it. I'm trying to keep that as... wait, the chilies are already in there now. It happened pretty much.
It's getting recorded, this, JB, so it's on record.
The plan is I want to keep that as the sowing and propagating area, as a bit of a reminder for myself that just because it's June and July doesn't mean you should stop sowing things, because that's my failed, like my biggest failure in the garden is pretty much from, not really now, but like after June, I'm really bad at sowing anything and caring for it properly.
Well, if you kind of think, mind you, this is the way I think of it, is like sprouting broccoli is always a good one to remind yourself to sow then, ready for, like that kind of the quiet downtime in April when there's nothing there, the March, April time. So
yeah, there's still so much you can sow June and July, but for me, it becomes a lower priority compared to taking care of everything you've got. And because you've normally in that kind of loads of stuff's growing, and when you do a garden tour, there's so much to be excited about. It's just really easy for me to forget to sow, like it just falls by the wayside.
Now, mind you, that wasn't Steve was just immense at that, just kind of carrying on, just like constantly sowed, constantly. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like I couldn't get. How do you manage it all? You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden you're starting to come into that glut as well, which even gets me stressed. The glut.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just.
And when you could bury yourself in lettuces, it's very difficult to remember that in 3 months' time you're not going to have any unless you do some now.
Exactly.
And at the time you're like, you've got lettuce soup and lettuce everything else. Yeah.
Now, do you guys have like something that you? I usually have a tray that I sow every 3 weeks of things I'd like to have successions for. So it's not everything in my garden. It's just a few things. And I sow them every 3 weeks. And that kind of keeps that whole moving forward thing moving forward.
Yeah, it's a good idea, actually, to be like, this is and then you know you've got it on the go, don't you? For
right, and I
so
like
is it just one tray, Audrey, and you might have, say, a few lettuce and then maybe some cabbages, that kind of.
Yeah, or my trays are like 72 cells, little modules.
Oh wow!
So I can have quite a few lettuces going. I can have beets going. I can have radish going. It just helps. And then when we are ready to plant that out, that reminds me to go look at my carrots and go, should I be sowing some more carrots? And I have it all kind of organized by, this lettuce likes heat. This lettuce will tolerate heat. This is a good fall lettuce. So like my radicchio and stuff, I put in one of the fall sowings. But it helps me really kind of stay on that. And I'm only managing one tray of stuff. That's it. And they all go in directly from those little modules.
Really good plan.
That's been working for me.
Yeah. Actually, the thing that I struggle with, we talked about this before, actually, is like making note of when you do things and keeping a record. Like writing it in a book never works. It just all goes up in the air, and I think I'm going to remember something and I don't. And actually, if you've got an iPhone, the last update, they put something on called journaling. Turns out it was basically made for keeping a record of what you've done at the allotment. Like it's all there. You can just write down what you've done, take the photos, it sticks the two together, it's searchable, it's got the date, it's got everything. Right. It's absolutely changed my life. It's really, really good.
Well, I took that off, Jess, but I think I'll put that back on. That's a great little.
Well, yeah, I got a bit miffed with it because when it first came on, obviously I had notifications on, and it was like, do you want to write about your experience at such and such, somewhere I'd been like 2 days ago? And it was, oh, for goodness sake, it's just another thing tracking where you're going. But yeah, I opened it up instead of notes by accident to note something down, and then I was suddenly like, hold on a minute. This is absolutely perfect for it, because you can take the pictures, you can write the notes. Like I was planting dahlias yesterday, and I just like took a picture of where they were planted, took a picture of the front cover of each one, like which one it was. Absolutely nice. It's like what I started Instagram for originally, thinking this would be a good idea for that, but it's not searchable, like not in the same way as having it all written down like that. So yeah, it's I'm pretty impressed.
That's great.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Hey, top of the hour already. An hour has gone.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Audrey, where can we find you, madam?
Right here. Real Food Comes Dirty. YouTube, Instagram, and .com.
.com, yes. JB, your exploits are...
Yeah, you can find me at Naturally JB on YouTube and on Instagram.
And actually, if you're local in the area, you'll see JB running backwards and forwards on an evening from the house to the allotment, carrying his little precious cargoes. Look out for coming soon.
It would have been amazing if you drove past the house yesterday, because I had the tray of chili peppers I couldn't see over. And I saw everyone driving past just staring at me like, what is he doing?
Jimmy, just hand on heart, do you think you've taken a gamble this year, or you've your hands forced?
No, I think once it's 10 degrees forecast overnight, that's it for me. That's kind of like when it looks fairly reliable. We're right into May now. Well, no, we're not. But we're at the end of April.
No, we're not, Jimmy. We're still in April, and there's still chances.
It should be okay. If it was the middle of April, I'd be a bit more nervous for sure.
Jess, where can we find you?
Pot37 on Instagram, YouTube, and .com.
And Patreon.
And Patreon.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
And me too.
Oh, look at who's there, lad? It's funny. Did you notice, JB, when I sent a link for today's show, I accidentally put in another link for another Patreon page of mine, and I was like, by all means, do you know what I mean? Have a look, you know what I mean, if you want to, do you know what I mean? So,
very cute.
Listen, big thank you. We are not here next week. Not here next week. But the week after, JB's on holiday. Unpaid leave. Is that right, JB?
That is. I thought we were here on the 6th, but we're not here on the 13th. Are you doing
it? Well, I'm just going to knock it on the head, to be honest, I think.
Oh, no, I'm mixed up. Sorry. Yeah.
See,
everyone ignore me. Listen to what Tony said.
Yeah, so we're not here next week, but then JB's actually not here the week after.
That's correct.
As well, so it's going to be 2 weeks until I see his pretty little face again.
I'll be on YouTube, Tony.
Yes. It's Busman's holiday, though. It's like watching, do you know what I mean? Like watch garden videos. It's
I know, yeah, I know.
It's hard. Everyone, look after yourselves. Take good care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.